look. You know, sometimes the meaning of what you say can be totally different by the way that you present it. You know, I said basically the exact same thing in both instances, but the way I changed my nonverbal communication totally changed the message. The audience got a totally different feel from who I was and probably didn't think I was as credible by using ineffective nonverbal communication. Do you want to be a part of the 8% of Americans who are unemployed? You want to get a job, don't you? So the answer to these questions is nonverbal communication and having effective nonverbal communication in your interview. My name is Morgan Clark. I am a freshman pre-business major from Sugar Land, Texas, and in high school I was a part of PALS, or Peer-Assisted Leadership. Through this process, there were 200 applicants and only 40 got admitted to the program. There is a really rigorous interview process that went along with it. You had to sit in front of a board of interviewers and basically sell yourself to them. The first year, I tried out 2 years in a row. The first year I came in there, I was extremely nervous. I had my arms crossed, I was looking down. I didn't make good enough eye contact. I probably wasn't as smiling as I should have been, and I really wasn't showing my true self. So, I didn't get a part of that program that year. The following year, got right back to it and reapplied. And this time when I went in, I was a lot more positive and bright and, held myself better. I had better poise about myself, made eye contact, had, just confidence in the way that I was promoting myself. So it made me seem a lot more credible. And when you're applying for programs like this, most of the applicants are all going to have the same qualities that the program is looking for. So it really matters in your interview that you have to be an effective nonverbal communicator to show them that you really want to be there. So the purpose of my speech is to persuade you to use effective nonverbal communication skills to achieve success in an interview. In order to persuade you, my first point is the problem that applicants are not taking into consideration: the severity of nonverbal communication. I'm going to also talk to you about 2 solutions that will better yourself in an interview, and those include both high-quality first impressions and eye contact. Now let's move on to the first point, which is our problem, and not using effective nonverbal communication in an interview. So when applying to a job, many people do not realize how crucial the nonverbal communication is in an interview. For example, I once walked in to pick up an application and they were like, well, let's just do the interview now. When I walked in, I was very, I guess I seemed bored is what they told me. I walked in, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I'm looking at the floor, not paying attention, not smiling. The second you walk in, it starts. So you have to make sure that your nonverbal communication is on key so that they'll invite you back for another interview and maybe even hire you for a job position. According to Miles Patterson, author of Nonverbal Behavior, high involvement applicants are not only well liked, but they're also seen better competent, more motivated, and more qualified for the job position. In fact, after an experiment, 89% of the subjects who saw high involvement applicants decided that they were going to hire them or invite them back to another interview. You're probably thinking, wow, 89%, that's a great statistic. I could definitely get a job interview back. But here's the problem, 100%, and yes, I'm saying all of them, 100% of people who were low involvement applicants did not get a call back. That's all of them. They did not get a second interview and they didn't get a job offer. So, you want to be a part of the 89% statistic, not the 100% statistic. So we really have to make our nonverbal communication extremely effective. So this leads me to my first possible solution. And second point, making a good quality first impression. You want to make a good impression in an interview, right? So according to Chandy Lowry of the WNBF News in association with NBC News, when a person walks into their interview, they have 7 seconds to make their first impression. Now, this isn't a lot of time. The interview might go on for half an hour or so, but that 7 seconds is crucial to the next 29 minutes that go on. And so you really want to make sure that you nail it so that they'll really see how enthusiastic you are. According to Heather Krosnow, author of Jobs That Matter, she talks about many different ways to make those first few moments count. Those include having a really firm handshake. Make sure you have eye contact with the person, and also make sure that you are giving yourself, you are promoting yourself in a way that they'll see how credible you are. You know, you're smiling, you're confident in this situation, you're building credibility. You want to, you know, this first impression plays a large role in your interview, so you really want to make it count. As I said earlier, I would also talk to you about a second solution, eye contact, and this is going to lead me to my final point and my second solution. So, photographers say that it's all in the eyes, as you can see. Would you have thought that this could apply to an interview? Well, it does. Eye contact is critical in an interview. You build your whole credibility by whether or not you make eye contact with the employer. According to the Center of Disease Control, lack of eye contact can possibly make you seem bored, fatigued, or disinterested in the interview. You really want to have eye contact because it'll make you a lot more credible and more engaged in the interview. So then look the interviewer in the eye and let them know that you were there for the position and that you're there to get it. So when I first began this speech, I showed you two different ways of coming about communication. You could go the route where you are a low involvement communicator or a high involvement communicator. Both ways, you know, get the message across, but one is awful and you don't really want to listen to them, and then the next one is just, you know, you're engaged, you want to talk to the person. And I talked to you about the problem, which is people are not being effective with their nonverbal communication. And I gave you two solutions, and those solutions include making your first impression count. You have 7 seconds to make this impression, so make sure it counts. Make sure you have a handshake, you're being confident, you're smiling, and you're just poised. The second solution I gave you was the second solution I gave you was making good eye contact. You know, Patterson told us that 100% of applicants do not get a job if they are low involvement. So you really want to make sure that you are high involvement. Make those moments count. Let the interviewer feel your vibes, and they'll remember you, no doubt, and you'll go for your second interview or your first job. Thank you.